let us do one experiment here, students. Let us take a container containing water. Then let us dip a sponge. Then what we notice is water will get into sponge. Clear, students? Now replace this sponge by, instead of sponge, what we do is we add some plastic or metal, say spoon, spoon. Just dip the spoon in. Then in this case, in the second case, that is in spoon case, water will not get into, but it will be onto this metal surface. Now look at this, students. In one case, water is getting into, and in the second case, water is getting onto. This onto refers to surface only, whereas this into refers to bulk. That means into the body. Is that clear, students? Well, this phenomenon is called as absorption, and this phenomenon is called as adsorption. See, students, absorption deals with accumulation of other particles into the body of other particle. For example, sponge takes water into the body of the sponge. That means that here water is undergoing absorption, AB. Whereas instead of sponge, if you take plastic material, water is not getting into the body. It is just touching, or it is sticking onto the, sticking onto the surface of the metal only or plastic only. Therefore, it is called as adsorption. Are you noticing this difference between adsorption and absorption? Okay. Now, let us come to this original statement. Before water enters into the body of the sponge, before water entering into the body of the sponge, water should touch the surface of the sponge. That means before absorption, adsorption must occur. That means before this adsorption must occur. That means without adsorption, absorption will not occur. Whereas without absorption, adsorption can occur. That means adsorption is possible alone, whereas absorption alone is not possible. Is that clear, students? Now, this another, if you look at the absorption in another perspective, see here. Suppose we have taken the sponge where absorption of water took place. Then what we do is that sponge we slice into fine paper size. We slice it in a thin possible manner. Upon cutting the sponge, slicing the sponge to finer surface, thin surface area, thin paper-like material, then what we notice is water molecules are held in the pores. That means it is very thin. It can have only two dimensions. It means that once the sponge is sliced into thin slices, cut into thin slices, then what we notice is water was inside the body. Now, if you look at one thin slice, water is appearing onto the surface only, but not into the. That means here in thin slice, water is onto. That means water is adsorbed. So there is a confusion between absorption and adsorption. Clear, students? Actually, Absorption at microscopic level, absorption at microscopic level stands for adsorption only, and hence there is a confusion between absorption and adsorption. Or we can say that absorption occurs upon adsorption, or simultaneous adsorption and absorption are possible. Is it clear, students? In such situation, to avoid this confusion, what has been done is the first two letters of absorption and first two letters of adsorption are removed. Then what we have got is Sorption. Sorption word has got. This deals with both adsorption as well as absorption. That means sorption is a general term used for both the processes, that is adsorption and absorption, which are occurring simultaneously. Then how to remember this? This is applicable when absorption occurs. That means before absorption, adsorption should take place. That means sorption deals with adsorption as well as absorption simultaneously. Is that clear, students? Now look at this, students. Watch it very carefully. Chalk piece is taken and it is dipped into say ink. There can be two situations. Removed quickly. Second one, after long time. See, students, here we have taken a container containing ink, and into that one chalk piece is introduced. If we remove very quickly, then what we notice is, upon breaking that chalk piece, we notice that ink is adhered only onto the surface. We notice like this. That means ink is present only on the surface. This will be the process of adsorption. That means if chalk piece is removed quickly, that means ink is undergoing adsorption. Now, if you remove this chalk piece after a long time, then what do you notice? This entire chalk piece will be colored here into the bulk. That means it is the process of absorption. Now look at this. Whether upon putting chalk piece into the ink, whether ink undergoes adsorption or absorption, that depends on what? The time period. If it is removed quickly, ink undergoes adsorption. And if it is removed very after long time, then what we notice? Ink undergoes absorption. Therefore, now ink is sorbed. Ink undergoes sorption now. Because here both adsorption and absorption are taking place simultaneously. Therefore, in this case, sorption word is more suitable. Clear, students?